we have a sort of a view. Hello, you two. Unfortunately, we can't get any closer than this without risking upsetting them. But there we go. Ribbons, 2 brand new, not completely brand spanking new, but new arrivals. Just starting to get the white rings around their eyes, and their face is starting to go a little bit paler, which usually happens after the 4-week mark. I think we were sort of correct about our guess of their ages, just over a month. I think I was a little bit early with my sort of 3-week to 4-week estimate the last time. I'm guessing it around about a month old. Cute. Look how peaceful their mum looks. One has to wonder at how she can look so contented with 2 bundles jumping on top of her, treating their mum as a jungle gym. There you go, Dave. It's been a while. Oops. Oh, is that the best spot to lie down? They've got such floppy back legs when they're this age. Not particularly strong at all. They are adorable, but I wouldn't call them beautiful. They're not pretty things, baby hyena. Look at your wrinkly forehead. You need some skin cream. All that skin that you're going to grow into. And they really do look like puppies. Or little bears, some people say. Already equipped with teeth and claws. Look at this. There was an almost yawn there. James? Yes, potentially a predator might go into a hyena den when Mom isn't there. Oh, look at those sharp little teeth. Yes, you chew on that leaf. Explore your new world. Leopards are a potential threat. It's unlikely, but it's a potential, especially one that's got used to going underground. Look at it chewing. That is so sweet. This is why sticks and twigs never survive around a hyena den. Snakes, a python could actually crawl into the den site itself. A snake could crawl into the den. Lions won't, generally won't. So a hyena cub den site is actually quite a safe area for them. That's why I think one of the reasons why their mortality rate is much lower than that of a leopard cub and even a lion cub, I would say. Look at it. Just like a puppy, has to chew everything. You got a new toy. Is that a nice new toy? Nibbling away with its wrinkly face. And maybe just a hint of a spot on the leg. How cute was that? A little tumble and a little fall, hey? With your weak back legs. We've guessed at the ages of these particular hyena cubs. It's always interesting looking at the dynamics of the way in which a hyena raises their cubs, and they invest as much time and energy as a leopard or a lion does in their litters, and they will stay for roughly the same period of time. Bethany, around about 110 days. Depending on the individual, because just like humans, it will differ, but on average around about 110 days is their gestation period, which is why I would have been very surprised if Gwen had actually had new cubs rather than her old litter of cubs, unless she'd lost them. And we had questions and debates about that at camp afterwards. I wonder where she's gone. So 110 days is the rough time estimate. Oh, yes, have a jolly good scratch. Distraction in the form of an itchy ear. And the more they play, the quicker those back legs will strengthen. Of course, the quicker their jaws will strengthen. At the moment, they're quite top-heavy. Hyenas are top-heavy animals anyway, but particularly so. Whoops. Your mom was sleeping so nicely there, you little horror. Hi, little one. Look how curious it is. Hunter, around about 3 months is when you'll start to see their spots. You can actually, if you look really closely, I think you can see the odd spot on their legs. But it's really only at around 3 months that they start to become clear. And even then, they're sort of very much condensed, if that makes any sense. The spots are very close together, because although the spots will stay the same, as the hyena grows, they sort of stretch out. Yum! Another stick to chew on. Lots of teething happening. We don't know yet. It's far too soon for us to tell whether or not we have what genders these cubs are. Obviously, the adult hyena is a female. Kelly, you want to know what are some of the behavioral differences of them versus the females? Well, clearly, hyena is really interesting in that regard, in that the females are bigger, they have higher levels of androgen or testosterone, they've got very, very high levels for a female mammal species, and that is what has made them so much larger than the males. They are more dominant. So the females have their own strict hierarchy. The males also have a hierarchy of their own, but even the highest ranking male, oh, bye-bye, getting very brave, disappearing into the long grass. This is where we saw them get to last time. Are they going to go further? Yes, is the answer. So brave. So the males are more submissive. The highest ranking male hyena will be submissive to the lowest ranking hyena female, and that behavioral difference will be noticeable from when they are cubs. If it is a high ranking male cub, it might enjoy a little bit more protection from mum, but once it is fully grown, and once it has reached sort of independence, then it will have to fend for itself. And a lot of males disperse away from hyena clans, whereas females will often stay within the clan for the rest of their lives. But quite a few males will disperse, sometimes even becoming nomadic male hyena in certain areas. In other words, they don't actually have a clan or a territory that they stick to, and they just kind of wander about looking for mating opportunities and feeding opportunities. And some males will stay within the clan and become clan males. Some will try and find their way into a different clan. Hyenas are quite unexpected creatures, unpredictable. These little heads bobbing through the grass. You are so brave. Look how far you've gone. It was further than yesterday, or the other day when we first saw them. You can see how they've completely disappeared behind the grass, but that's not very hard, because at the moment the grass in certain places is up to about our chest level. This grass isn't. This grass is about knee-high. Maybe just a little bit longer. Monique, with pleasure, I can give you an idea as to just how big they are, but let's just wait and see if this little one pops out here. Oh, it's gone round the back there, David. You see the grass moving? Little monster. Monique, let me show you with my hands exactly how big they are. So they are probably about this long, and about this tall. Now that's roughly how big they are. Would you say that's correct, Dave?
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. And their heads are about this big. Their heads are quite large, actually. Their heads are massive compared to the rest of their bodies. Now they've disappeared. I don't want to reposition, though, because I don't want to scare them while they're away from the den site. Well, we can have a look at Ribbon, since she is such a beautiful hyena. She's quite young, first litter, I would say, and she's very intact. Her ears are all neat and not tattered. She doesn't have any huge scars. She hasn't started going bald in the way that some older hyenas do around the top of her head. And she actually looks quite soft and quite clean for a hyena. She's a really pretty girl. And she's got the advantage of youth, I suppose. I always find it astounding the instincts of these animals. Her first time litter, knowing exactly what to do, how to do it, what the cubs need. She is fast asleep. I suppose it's exhausting as well, being a new mum. Dave, where did those cubs go? Did they go all the way around the back of the den? I think they did. There they are. Oh, wow. Christopher, good question. How far will Mum let these cubs explore at this age? It depends, Christopher. She actually doesn't have to do too much in the way. Has it disappeared again? Oh, there they are. There they are. There both of them are. Hi, now you're around the other side of the den. It depends on whether or not she's aware of how far they're going, but she doesn't actually have to worry too much about them because their natural fear keeps them relatively safe. They won't disappear much beyond, I would say, a roughly 10-meter radius around the den site itself, if that. As they start to get older, though, she does actually have to intervene because they try and follow her. And they'll try and follow her whenever she tries to leave the den to go off and search for food. And then she has to discipline them and take them back. And we've enjoyed many a sighting with a hyena mother trying to just put her cubs in the den so that they will stay there and she can go. And then as soon as she gets one in, then the next one pops out. Look, she's already gone to look for them now. So she is actually actively going to bring them back. Where'd your babies go? They've gone walkabout. Sticking her head over the termite mound to check on them. We might even be lucky and have one of those moments now where she might go and fetch them. Where did you lot go? Never mind. I'm not too bothered. I'm too exhausted. Oh! Surprise! Obviously that back entrance is connected to this entrance. You too? Very clever. You're very clever. Are you pleased with yourself? Watching these cubs wander around, Justin, the answer is probably not. And the reason I know that is because I've actually done it before with hyena cubs in a closed system where a hyena cub had trapped itself and was dangling by its foot from a raisin bush, and the foot was slowly losing blood supply, and this thing, it had basically jumped up and caught itself in a V, and there was no way it was going to get out on its own. So we actually went to it. It was about this size, maybe just a little bit larger, a face you just have to love. That is a face that could get away with murder. And we approached it while the mother was there. We didn't have an option because the more it hung there, the more damage it was doing to its joints and its tendons. So we went in and we wrapped the cub's head in a cloth and we pulled it out. And that whole time the mothers growled, the hyenas don't really growl, but they were making low moaning sounds, but they never got closer to 10 meters. We could see they were distressed, they were very upset, and we were very cautious with them, and I think it helped that there was a group of them. If the cub had started squealing or making distress calls, or if we had shown that we were hurting it in some way, then perhaps that might have provoked the mother into attacking. But hyena are very shy of people. Very, very shy. Even though they are she probably weighs quite a bit more than I do. I don't think she'd attack me. The hyena cub was fine, by the way, although they did move their den site immediately and we didn't find them for a good few weeks afterwards. At the end of that hyena cub rescue mission. stick it out for a little bit longer. I reckon these cubs showing so much boldness, they might come up to say hello. But I'm sure you're all curious as to what Brent has been doing on Cheetah Plains and if he's found any more unusual bird species for you. Let's go and find out.
Well, we're doing a little victory dance. Thanks to all the screenshots. I can now tell you it is I've forgotten, Brian. Have you forgotten what bird it is?
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, we've forgotten what bird it is.
Crate.
A crate.
A crate.
Isn't Crete a city?
No, a crate. Like
a crate. Or is it like a crate of a box?
Yeah,
a crate. But it wasn't. It didn't have any tomatoes in it, Brian. Oh yeah, of course we are fooling with you. It is indeed a very rare species for the Sabi Sands, and I'm sure another big tick on our Safari Live Birders list. It is the corncrake. So they have migrate, but very rarely this far south. Normally they breed in Western Europe, all the way through to Russia and into China. So a very rare bird. So we should all give ourselves, actually we should give Brian a round of applause for being able to follow that bird flying. Tayla says, very nice, well done, Brenty Poo. Tayla seems like she wants to start another battle. Maybe Tayla can draw you a corncrake in the sand. No, I'm only joking. But yes, very exciting. It's going to be hard to find again. So we got really lucky with those baboons flashing it. Now, with this rain, I did say actually at this very spot the other day that we might get some crakes and rails into the area, and I thought we might get lucky in a spot like this. But they do also like those open grasslands, but we generally get better luck. This is also a very habitat that a crake would very much. Oh, we got some little common wax bulls by the looks of things. That might be a new one for some people as well. Very pretty little wax bull. Oh, Cheetah Plains delivers on the birds. Not so much on the cheetah today though, I'm afraid. Oh, look at that! A buffalo! Look at him! He's hiding. Hello, buffalo. You're not a crake, or a wax bull, or a weaver. Now that is why buffalo bulls are so dangerous.
Oh, yellow-billed oxpecker as well.
Oh, it's birds and buffalo. Yellow-billed oxpecker on his horns. Now you can see why they're so dangerous on foot. I mean, there is 700 kilograms of grumpy, unpleasant buffalo, and he's almost invisible. That is a big boy. I haven't seen this buffalo before. Look how deep his horns go. Hello, big buff. Now that is not what you want to walk into. And these old boys, and he is an old boy, probably 12 or 13 years old, come to areas like this. There's lots of lush grass, there's water, there's cover. And when they get a bit older, maybe their senses aren't quite as sharp as they once were. Their hearing, their smell. And as you walk around through the bush, you can very, very easily stumble upon a buffalo hiding in the grass like that. And when their hearing and other senses aren't that great, you often stumble on them at very close range and within that sort of flight or fight. And sometimes, being cantankerous old whatnots, they might choose the fight over the flight. I actually heard him before I saw him. I just heard him. But I really want to see him stand up. Those are really impressive deep horns. Hey, mister. Let me see if I move a little bit higher up. We might be able to see a bit more. But you can see, this is a wonderful spot for birds and buffalo, apparently. No, we can't really see any more of him. Let's try. I don't think we're going to see any more. Oh, that's about the best, hey, Brian?
Yeah.
There's the oxpecker irritating him. Yellow-billed oxpecker. Is that a red-billed now? Oh, there's a red-billed as well, and a yellow-billed. It's all happening. You know, the one thing that of course, I'm the most excited about seeing the corncrake. I was so excited about being the corncrake, I did something I never do on Game Drive. I phoned a friend. And I didn't phone a friend in a nice way. I phoned to gloat. So I phoned Tristan to inform him of the corncrake. He's a little jealous. I thought about phoning him live, but then I thought he might say a bad word at me when I told him I saw a corncrake, so I thought maybe not. Cindy's wondering, are buffalo always unpleasant? Well, I'd also be quite grumpy if flies were removing my ears and lions were trying to eat me nightly. But no, they're not. When they're in the big herds, they're quite relaxed and you can walk around them quite easily. But it's generally, they become quite cantankerous as they get older, and obviously they're under threat quite a bit. And sometimes they are solitary bulls like this, or sometimes you'll have a group. Oxpecker is still irritating him. Oh, let me just go forward. I saw another little birdie. Let's see if I can get him to pop out. Okay, so Brian, if you in that little gap around there, just have a look. I'm going to do a birding trick to see if it can get it to pop out into the open. Now, oh, it's the little wax bills again. There's a couple of them around. Oh, no, pop back up. So they're actually feeding in this long grass. And it looks like some sorghum there. So a very nutritious grass that's growing in this flooded area. And that's what they're after. Come on, they're so pretty. Pop up. Oh, did you get him? He's there. A little bit to the left. Oh. Oh, there we go, Brian's got him. There we go, little wax ball. Ooh. Let's have a look, we might get some. I think it's another little common. Oh, you got to be careful. As I say, rains bring really great birds, and sometimes you can get some very interesting species that are like the corncrake we've seen already today. And isn't that just the most wonderful thing about being on a live African safari? We literally cannot predict what is around the next corner. Now, look at that. That is how dangerous a buffalo bull is. I mean, that is a massive animal that is completely disappeared. Now, Tinch is wondering who is strongest, a lion or a buffalo? Well, it's a difficult one. Buffalo are incredibly strong, but then so are lions. And I think it all depends on the situation. Oh, that wax ball there. Whoa, look how pretty it is. Little red face mask of the common wax ball. And even though its name is common wax ball, it's not a bird we commonly see. So I'm sure it's definitely a new bird for a few people. Now, I set out to look for elephants, and I haven't found one yet, but I'm not too fussed. We have got a corncrake. Oh, lovely posing. Oh, off he goes. And off we shall go. We'll leave that buffalo to be grumpy by himself under the bushes. There we go. Bye-bye, grumpy buffalo. Yes, I would not want to walk into you. I would have to utilize my tree climbing skills as the winner of the Bush Olympics tree climbing contest. Gold medal. Brian, you obviously were valedictorian. You got the most medals during Bush Olympics. But where were you on the tree climbing?
Oh, second.
You were second.
Yeah.
Well, at least we know out of the Safari Live crew, we would be the most safe if a buffalo chased us. The killer bees win again. Okay, we're going to carry on heading directly west, hoping for some elephants around Djuma Dam. Who knows, a Kuchava might be around. While we do that, let's go see what Madam McCurdy is up to.
My goodness, I've been gone for a long time, but we've just heard some kudu alarming. Just here in the distance, we're quite close to Wahlberg's Road, so I wonder if one of the cubs or maybe somebody is lying about here in the bushes. But whatever it was, also got the attention of all the impala and the Nyala that are standing at the dam. So to come with us, we're going to keep walking. We asked. Abel is also around here. See, Abel's also driving around, which is great. You hear the birds alarming again? You have to use our ears quite a lot. Right, let's keep going. Let's keep up with Herbie. It'll be very exciting if it is one of the leopards that are moving around. There's a lot of water just in here as well, these smaller pans, so one of them could have come down for a drink too. Or maybe it is Karula. I don't know when Karula was last seen. I know Jamie left her quite some time ago, so she could have easily have left her little ones and come on the search for something to eat too. Ah, okay, wonderful. So Steph apparently had seen, I know I'm looking away, I'm just watching where we walk. Steph had said that just after we ended the sunrise, so Steph apparently had seen, I know I'm looking away, I'm just watching where we walk. Steph had said that just after we ended the sunrise. Oh, sorry, we had a little bit of pixelation there. Listen, listen, listen. There's a kudu alarming. Let's see if we can hear it bark again. Not far from here, probably about, maybe a, did you hear that? It almost sounds like a little bit of a gunshot, but not really a gunshot. Just disregard what I just did. It doesn't sound anything like that. That was hopeless. It was very embarrassing. But I think that she's close. Kudu are normally really good at when telling you that there's something around. I have heard lots and lots of kudu alarming for hyena though as well. So there's a possibility it could be a hyena. Not sure yet. We're going to have to sort of just wait and find out. But the fact that this kudu has been alarming for quite some time now makes me think that I wonder if it isn't a leopard. Let's go to Herbie. Let's go to Mr. Herbert and see what he's got to say. Did they tola? Mufaz, makulu mufaz. Ah, okay. Very cool. So literally, just around the corner, Abel's managed to find, he's actually relocated on Karula by the sounds of it. You can still hear the kudu alarming. So he's in the sighting at the moment. We don't want to go in there and bother him. But if he does move out, if he does decide to just stay there for a little bit and carries on, we might see if we can do an approach on her. But we'll have to see how it goes. We're also chasing the light at the moment. You don't want to start doing any approaches on any animals when the light gets too dim. So we'll just see how it goes. Like I said, we don't want to disturb the people that are in the vehicle because she'll definitely move if she spots us. But let's go. Let's see. Now, Chris, thank you so much for your concern. You've actually said that you've noticed that it is getting darker a lot earlier. It is indeed. By about 6:30 or so, you need to start heading back home. And this is, of course, just my opinion. I know Jamie feels the same way as well. I'm not too keen, especially with it being so thick out here, on walking in any dim light at all, because my eyes play tricks on me, and I'm sure yours do too. You start to see shrubs that are moving around, and you might think, oh, it's my mind playing a trick on me, and it could be indeed a buffalo, so you've got to be careful. Let's keep moving up towards Herbert. He's given us the go-ahead. He says, come through. Got to pick the pace up a little bit. I think Abel's actually moving out by the sounds of it. We'll just keep going forward. We can hear oxpeckers as well. Now we know if you're hearing oxpeckers, It could be from those kudu that we heard alarming too. We often see oxpeckers on the kudu, but it could also mean a bigger mammal. A buffalo, a rhinoceros, anything like that could be lurking in these bushes too. So we want to be very, very careful. So that's why we've just given ourselves a little bit of a gap. Herbie's up ahead. I'm just listening as we're going through here as well, just making sure I don't miss any sounds. So I can hear the oxpeckers. I think that they're sitting on those kudu. Now, no, you're wondering what is the most dangerous animal I've bumped into? Buffaloes are not fun out of the water. Not out of the hippos are not fun when they come out of the water charging after you. That's always intimidating. I recently had a pretty scary buffalo sighting where I was looking for some insects for James around the tent, and I'd walked that pathway, I don't even know how many times. It was just before one of the TV shows. And I had my multi-tool, and I was holding a velvet ant, which is a female wasp, but she looks very much like an ant. She doesn't have any wings. So she was walking on the top of my multi-tool, and I was balancing her, and I checked the area I don't know how many different times. And well, the next minute I walked out behind a shrub. I was probably about 25 yards from the tent, if even that, and something just made me stop dead in my tracks. And I turned. And there was this buffalo that was standing, I don't even know how far away it was anymore, but it couldn't have been, it was about equal distance away from me as I was away from the tent. And he realized, at the same moment that I realized that he was there, he lifted his head up. You know the buffalo, they like to walk and sway their heads right down on the ground with those heavy horns. And yes, well, we both got a bit of a fright. We both going, I don't know what to do, we're so close. And in that situation, I had to run because he put his head down, he shook his head, and he stomped the ground, and he was coming at quite a pace. So I did something that you shouldn't normally do, but I didn't have any trees to climb. It was the only thing. I don't have a rifle. I didn't have nothing to protect myself. So all I thought I'd do is I'm going to make a very bold move, and I didn't realize I could run that fast. And I bolted. I did about 4 steps before I reached the tent. I think I was sort of leaping. And I dived in, and this buffalo just missed me, came charging out of the bushes, stopped, looked at myself, David, and James, staring us in the tent, panicked, and then luckily for us, he turned and he carried on running straight through the drainage line. I think when he saw the 3 of us, and of course that big tent, he probably went, whoa, that's a bit of a deterrent. But if he'd come charging again into the tent, we would have had to jump out the windows. So that's what it is out here. You never know what is going to surprise you. So even though it's oxpeckers, and it could mean that it's on a smaller mammal, you do not want to take a chance. You really, really got to be careful out here because things happen so quickly within the blink of an eye. You could walk around this bush, and it is thick at the moment. It could be a sleeping rhino, a sleeping buffalo, anything in here. I don't know if this leopard is moving. Let's quickly, Herbie just keeps pacing up and down. Let's quickly find out from him. See, there's an Nyala. Pacing up and down. Let's quickly find out from him. See, there's an Nyala.
I'm not frozen, so welcome back on Rusty with the killer bees and the pale English boy. Yes, and the pale English boy is in charge of that paraphernalia. I haven't managed to break it yet, but that's because there's been no wild dogs. But we are all very, very happy with our birding so far. We did actually come in search of elephants to VR. We have seen none. We have seen lots of spiderwebs though. Now, the Birmingham boys are about 600 meters that way, where we can't go, unfortunately. Maybe they'll visit cheetah plains in the morning. Oh, that is just so pretty though, isn't it, Brian? Look at that gorgeous light down the southern cut line. There's the sun, and the grass is just spectacular. It really looks like a road to nowhere, that road. One set of lone tire tracks going down the road with all the backlit grasses, gently swaying in the breeze. Ah, beautiful. Wonderful. Let's carry on then. Let's go see if we can find ourselves just one elephant. We're not greedy. We don't need a big herd. We're happy with just one. Remember hashtags if you would like to get hold of us. Now, of course, there's always a chance of a leopard in this area, or the sticks ladies. I think they were, and another cat.
Okay, look at who we've got. Now I'm speaking a little bit softer, and we're just standing up near a tree. And look at Karula hiding in the long grass. Can you see how she's almost invisible? And this is the most unbelievable sighting. She is such a relaxed cat. She's actually gone back to sleep. She's curled her legs, her head underneath her paws again, and she's decided to go back to sleep. What we're going to do, Craig, do you want to shuffle from this tree? Are you good? Okay, perfect. How's this? We're probably, 55 to 60 yards away from this leopard. She looked at us once. She put her head down and she's gone back to sleep. And that's what happens with these most amazing sightings when you're constantly interacting with these animals on foot, is that they eventually realize that we're not out there to harm them, and we're also not food. We don't look like food. But when it gets dark, it's a completely different story. So in a sighting like this, she knows we're here. We're not going to try and hide away from her now. She's completely relaxed with us. So I'm raising my voice a little bit. When I first got here, and she's sort of crouched in the grass, I just raised my voice just a little bit. And then she's not interested in us at all. And that's what her cubs are going to be like, is that eventually they're going to give us the most incredible sightings while we are on foot. And that's what we want. And this is very, very special. There are not many leopards out there where they're not growling and spitting and hissing at you. And I promise you that this leopard is 150% wild. There's been no human interaction at all. So just in case you have started watching and you're not sure what we're doing, we are in the presence of a wild leopard. She literally hasn't bothered us. Let's have another look at her. You can just see her twitches. It's so cool. I haven't walked a leopard on foot for such a long time. It feels like it's been ages. And there's one leopard who I've spoken about often, and she goes by the name of Little Bush, and she sort of lingers down in the southern sector near the Sabi River, and she is a feisty cat to have on foot. She charges you. She gave everybody a fright every time you pick up on her tracks. You're always a bit nervous of her, and she scared me a couple of times too. But Karula, on the other hand, very much like my favorite leopard, and her name was Lisbon, also down in the southwestern corner of the Sabi Sand. She's just like Karula, not bothered by people, sits and sort of watches and stares, but completely oblivious. I mean, I used to see her at night on the pathways, and she was so polite. She used to give us way. She'd scurry off, but she'd just sit and she'd stare in the distance. I just can't believe that she's put her head down and she's gone back to sleep. I mean, that is honestly unbelievable. Not bothered at all. And that's just working with these animals, giving them enough space to eventually get to the point where you're walking on foot and you get something like this. This is a very, very, very special sighting. We've had incredible sightings with James, with Brent, with her cubs, and it's just so nice to see that they have got the same trait, that same personality trait of being calm and so relaxed around the vehicles and then as well as around people. Now, I don't want to push it for too much longer, just because we haven't got the sun on our side. We're probably going to move out from here. We'll call the vehicles in now to come and, of course, carry on with this sighting. But you don't want to push something like this. Spend a little bit of time, leave it a positive interaction. She'll probably look at us as we start to walk away. But other than that, she won't be bothered at all. But we're losing light. We need to start heading back towards quarantine, where it's a little bit open and not so dense. But wow, how special was that? Thank you, Herbert. Thank you very much for that. we're going to go back across to Jamie, who seems to be with another spotted cat.
How exciting is that? Not with a spotted cat, but with a spotted hyena. Sounds like Taylor's been having wonderful times with Karula on foot. Our Ribbon's just about to leave, so obviously once Ribbon leaves, it'll be time for us to leave as well. Sorry, I thought I saw a head poking out. So I'm just going to give you one last view of Ribbon. Realized why she was moving so oddly earlier when I saw her. She's going to vanish. There we go, Dave. That's about as good as we're going to get. I realized why she was walking so oddly. She's got a nasty bite on her backside, just next to her tail. I thought she looked peculiar. She kept contorting herself and then twitching and then sitting down and looking discomforted. That's because she's got a nasty nip. I don't know if that was another hyena. Possibly. So I'm going to leave these cubs since Mother has gone. But we don't want to give them any bad ideas about the vehicles and what they mean. They're only ever really brave enough to come out when Mom is here anyway. So we're going to shift around. Now, David, you want to know if Ribbon is like Gwen? Apologies, I'm just listening to the Game Drive comms. You want to know if she's like Gwen and that she's low ranking? No, I don't think she's as low ranking as Gwen is. I think that would actually have to be pretty hard to achieve. Poor Gwen is right at the bottom of the food chain. I don't know exactly where she falls. The idea is that she is Corky's daughter. Sorry, Dave, let's just navigate this obstacle. She's Corky's daughter. Oh, you okay there, Dave? Sorry, wrenched your shoulder out of joint. You look like you've survived. Luckily, Dave's got nice broad shoulders to help him lift massive branches out of the way. Right, sorry. So, the idea is that she's Corky's daughter. Corky falls somewhere just below Pretty and Madam, but is still quite high up there. So I would put Ribbon somewhere around that sort of spectrum, somewhere in the middle of our hyena clan hierarchy. But I haven't seen enough interaction with Ribbon and other hyenas to fully confirm exactly where she stands. Hopefully, we'll start to see that more the more time we spend at the den site and the more other hyenas we saw. Corky was on quarantine this morning with Karula. So it'd be nice to see them back together and reunited once again. And just on that subject, I should probably clarify the reason why we rescued that little hyena cub, because I know it gives a very odd message when we talk about the fact that we can't interfere. The reserve that this occurred on had a massive problem with bushmeat snares. And what that is basically desperate poor people living on the outskirts putting up snares to catch antelope and zebra and so on. And unfortunately, the animal that really fell victim to them the most, more than any of our other predators, was the hyena. And we actually when we got the call about the hyena cub, the guide who saw it thought it had been wrapped up in a snare. So we went to go and see, because we thought maybe it had got its foot stuck while it was trying to get the snare off. So we actually had to go and closely examine it to see whether or not it did in fact have a snare, because that was an anthropogenic thing. It didn't, fortunately, but it was something we had to contend with, and we did regular walks to check for snares and so on. But it's very difficult to stay on top of when you've got a vast perimeter of thick bush. It is just something that happens out there. So that's why we went to check that hyena cub and why we interfered in the way that we did. Now, James, you want to know why it has been so much easier with Ribbon's cubs than it has with Gwen's. Age. It's just age. If you start with a leopard cub at a young age, you've seen with Xongile and Hosanna, they take the cues from their mum and they end up being perfectly relaxed. With any cub that is, any predator that is slightly older, it becomes exponentially more difficult the older they get. So that's why Gwen's cubs have been so tricky. It's just that we only saw them once, I think, maybe twice. And they were far too young to properly remember that. And then after that they vanished and they went somewhere where there were no people, no vehicles, nothing. Now, I think that's why it's been so much easier with Ribbon's cubs. They're just so young that The whole world is new to them. Everything is new, including us, including that termite mound, including the tree they were chewing on. So everything's got to be examined and explored. They don't have the same natural fear. Babblers, sorry, I have to stop because they're making such a racket. Of course, as I did that, they stopped. Here we go, all hopping about. One of my new favorite bird species. Arrow-marked babbler. We're on our way back towards Xongile to see whether or not Queen Karula decides to come and join her. But while we do that, let's go across to the Crake King of Cheetah Plains.
Oh, I like that name, the Crake King. Damn it. Crake Kings. Now, we've made a very interesting discovery, but unfortunately you weren't with us for it. We found a new road! We're driving down there, down the southern boundary, the western boundary of Cheetah Plains, and suddenly you can see where a tractor with a mower has just turned off and gone. And we followed it through, and it actually, well, new road's probably slightly incorrect. I would say it's a very old road that they've decided to reopen. So it's quite a nice road because it cuts this very big area with no roads into half. And this is that area. Opened up that area again, and so I was saying, the reason Kachava is being seen more and more around this area, that the reason that very old road was reopened. Aha, we'll have to ask. Okay, now we're going to start heading back towards the west. We haven't had any luck with the elephants we set out to find, but we saw a corncrake. And I think we might go have a look for Tandi and around the Mwanini, Chitwa on our way home. I just need to get up to some high ground, see if there's a state. Maybe they've already found her, done all the hard work for us because we saw a corncrake. Did I say we saw a corncrake?
No.
Okay, just in case you guys have just joined us, we saw a corncrake. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV. Hashtag we saw a corncrake. Okay, I'll stop now. Just what? No, maybe not. Maybe at the end. I'll save it for the end. So as I said, very, very rare bird. That's definitely the most rare or uncommon bird that I've seen since I've been at Safari Live. We've got some good ones. Broad-billed roller up here, which is an uncommon one up here. And what else? I'm trying to think. What's got me very excited? Oh, pale morph booted eagle was a good one. You think of any others, Brian? Or any of the presenters got really excited about seeing a bird, apart from me? No? Okay. Maybe I'm the only one that's excited for birds. Oh no, Tristan gets excited for birds. Oh, peregrine falcon we've seen, that's also a good one. Ooh, European hobby. But again, none of them pale in compared to the
corncrake.
Well done, Brian, thank you. I know that hurt you a little bit. So, no sign of Kuchava, but nice to know there's a new road. This is the time of the day when if she hasn't got a meal, she might be moving. But I'm going to head back to the west, and while we do that, let's go see if Jake's back with little Xongile.
While the Crake King makes his way back towards Djuma, one has to wonder whether or not that nickname's going to stick. What do you think, Dave? Probably not. Nah, probably not. The Crake King. We're on our way back towards Xongile in the hope that we could go and sit. I'm trying to decide whether we go to sit with Karula or with Xongile. Karula you've seen with Tayla, and apparently she's fast asleep, but if she does come back, she'd probably come back and fetch the cubs. And I'm hoping we might get to see Hosana as well if we stick with Xongile. It is a difficult decision to make. Felt quite torn. But we'll go to, because I think Karula's probably going to rest for a while. Whereas there's a chance now that it's cool that the cubs are going to be up and about and playing. Now, where's she moved to, little scamplet? Abel tells me she went away a little bit, but then ended up in a tree. Let us see if we can find her, Dave. She was such a surprise when she was in that bush dinner site, tucked away in that concrete box. I nearly drove right past her. Now, Reese, you want to know if leopards ever scent mark on man-made structures? Yeah, they do. The other animal that does it regularly is Cheetah. Cheetah likes signposts for some reason. Oh, I see feet. I see feet. Can you see feet, Dave? I see feet. I hope I see feet. It's not just a weird branch. Yep, go there. And a bit to, yeah, that big marula tree that's sort of just off center. There. There. And down a little. And to the right a little. His feet. I see feet. There we go. I found Xongile and redeemed myself for the bush near disaster. Cheetah like to defecate and urinate on signposts, particularly defecate on, you see, what I mean by signposts, I don't mean like a stop sign, you know, an upright pole. I mean the block signs, the concrete sort of block signs that you get around Kruger and those sorts of areas. They tend to be slightly more elephant-proof than your average signpost. Elephants love to knock over a sign. They absolutely love it. And there's nothing funnier than seeing a sign with an arrow on a tree and then the next day it's now pointing straight towards the ground and the tree is flattened. So concrete blocks tend to work quite well for well-traversed reserves as a way of letting people know where to go. So absolutely yes, leopards will use human-built things to scent mark on. Hello, Xongilolo. Where is your brother? You know what, to me, she's grown more than Hosana has in the last month. Obviously, he's bigger than her, but she's grown faster in the last month than he has. He got really big about 2 months ago. She's only recently now started to reach up to the same size as Mum. There we go. That's a much better picture, Xongile, rather than a concrete box. Thank you.
We've got a beautiful big Nyala bull who was walking very quickly away from us. I don't think it has anything to do with us, but you can see that he has now erected all of the hair on his body. So I suspect that there must be another big Nyala bull that he can see behind all of those bushes. See how he slowed his movement down now? And there were lots of female Nyala around here, so I think he's going to go and challenge perhaps somebody that shouldn't be here. Let's see if we can get another view. I can see a couple of tails flicking further in the bush. How's that? He didn't even turn his head and look back at us. Right, we'll get a gap here, and I think I can see, yes. There's the other Nyala. I think you might, if you go down, Craig, you might actually be able to see them. You see them through the bush there? There's the other big Nyala. And he's making his approach. The one at the back, he's just starting to erect the hair. Look how he's starting to curl his tail now as well. They are going to have a dominance display. And the Nyala are unbelievable animals. Look at that. They don't like to fight when they don't have to. So they do a very dainty, delicate dance by erecting all of their hair on their body and then doing these very slow, exaggerated movements. They will circle each other. And normally they are able to determine who is bigger just by doing this. But if they are of equal size, which they do look like they're of equal size, it could end in a little bit of a tussle. And that's really not so common to see a proper Nyala fight. You see it a lot more with wildebeest, with impala. But look, going over now to greet. Let's see what happens. Walking in circles. Actually, I think the one that's just moving off now, I think he's slightly younger. You see, he's gone a bit submissive. He's not really turning back to continue the dance, from what I can see. Wasn't that cool? That was really amazing. He marched over that big bull to say, hey, you, these are my ladies, don't come into my spot. And it seems as though he has won. But it's not just me that's on a roll. Brent is, of course, naturally on a birding roll, and he's managed to find a very special bird for you having a snooze. Let's go take a look.
Well, we don't normally get to see them in daylight hours. Look at that. Now, I've got a devil on my shoulder today. I'm going to ask you to identify which Nightjar this is. I will give you a hint. It is one of the two more common species we get here, and it is the one that doesn't have white tips to the primary feathers. If you know the answer, hashtag Safari Live or questions@WildEarthTV. Now, I'm just going to try sneak a bit closer so it might fly. So I have got my camera ready. So Brian's going to stay on it, so we do apologize if it's a bit bumpy. You can't see me, I'm a stick, is what it is thinking. Oh, let me go like that. This is absolutely amazing. I was convinced it would fly by now. Oh, darn it. As I was about to get my camera out. Is he landing in the tree? No, he's gone. Oh, but anyway, you saw very definitely there, no white tips to the primary wing feathers. That is your hint to figure out which of the Nightjar species it is. Well, that was quick. Bit disappointing. Bandit, you are correct. It is a fiery-necked Nightjar. So the other one that we see down on Cheetah Plains a bit more often, and actually we hear, which is one of my favorite calls in the African bush, is the it used to be called the Mozambique, now called the square-tailed, and we used to call them generator birds as kids. So we lived in areas where we didn't have electricity, so we used to run generators for 2 hours a day to charge everything, and our nights were serenaded by all the sounds of Africa, and this is one of my favorites. Now, of course, I'm putting it up against my head because my microphone is here. Like a generator that's getting a power surge. Very cool one. Okay, so we're about to leave Cheetah Plains now and see what we can find on our way home. But while we do that, let's go lounge around with the leopard and Jamie.
Lots of lounging happening, but in a very peaceful, very beautiful setting. We don't have any calling nightjars, unfortunately. That would really just sort of complete the image. But we do have a very, very pretty leopard in a very pretty tree. And it's been so nice to see the sky again after a few rainy days. Not that we didn't need the rain, but it's just a pleasure to have a little bit of a view once more. I'm sure the animals are quite happy to be a bit dry as well. Obviously food takes precedence, so the amount of rain has been wonderful. But my predictions about Xongile getting a little bit more active, perhaps her little brother coming out, or a big brother at this point, coming out to come and play with her, have so far proved to be inaccurate. I wonder what they have in store for us tomorrow. What will Karula find for them to eat? Where will they be? Or will they be very conveniently 2 minutes away from home? does make life very easy when they do this on the open area outside of our camp. I can hear birds' alarm calling again. It could be an eagle, but it could also be Karula on her way back. I think this will be the best way to find out, is just to sit with Xongile a little bit longer. Sleepyhead. That's not a branch you want to roll off. That will hurt. The bush brycite was okay to fall out of. That was just a few inches above the ground, but you definitely don't want to fall out of there. So deeply asleep. Foot dangling. You can see the brycite over there, so she hasn't moved particularly far. A couple of meters. Dave, after your frenetic city visit, are you happy to be back and seeing stuff like this?
No, this is way better.
This is way better, isn't it?
Yep.
You can't really beat this.
Nope.
Baby hyenas, leopard cubs. We're just a little tad spoilt. It's hard to feel stressed when you're sitting in a position like this. No matter what your worries and woes, little Xongile has a way of making them all better. And she doesn't even know it. She just has to exist. And she provides people the world over with so much joy. Hi, gorgeous. Hi, Randy. Sorry, let me separate those two sentences. Hi, gorgeous to the leopard. Hi, Randy. Thank you for sending through your question. Hi, Randy. You want to know if South American leopards differ from African leopards in terms of their size and shape? The answer to that is the leopard equivalent in South America is a jaguar, and they are slightly more bulky than the leopard. They are also the sort of the top biggest predator, at least land predator in that area. So they have a slightly different approach to things. They don't often hoist their kills in the same way our leopards do, because our leopards have to protect them from hyenas and so on, whereas a jaguar's kills are generally quite safe. They also, of course, specialize in hunting caimans, which I would love to see. Bless you, Dave.
Thank you.
That was quite dramatic. You startled us all. Except Xongile.
Yeah.
Xongile didn't even lift her head. She's just not phased at all. So Randy, jaguar is slightly more stocky, although a big male leopard will come close to the size of a jaguar. And I think there's not as, I must double check this, but I don't think there's as dramatic a size difference between the males and females. Interestingly enough, though, the leopards in the Sabi Sand are quite large, but you get different, not quite subspecies, but different families and different sort of genetic lines of leopards. If you go towards Cape Town, the leopards there are almost half the size of ours. They are very, very tiny, those Western Cape leopards. They're also very rare. Unbelievably rare to see. I see an Nyala, Dave. I wonder if... Yes, she has. Xongile sees an Nyala too. They are... over there! I wonder if that was the Nyala... No, it can't be. I think Tayla was with adult bulls. These look like young boys.
Just up ahead, yeah.
They've just gone behind this bush. I'm going to sit and watch the Nyala and watch Xongile's reaction to the Nyala. There they go. See? Not crazy. And speaking of Nyala and Tayla's bushwalk, I think it's getting a bit dark. Let's go over to her so she can say her farewells.
It's come to that time of the day again where the sun has now really dipped behind the horizon, behind the clouds that are building up, behind that too. And sadly, it's got a little bit too dark for us, unfortunately, to spend any more time out here. This is the hour that I was telling you where your eyes play tricks on you. And already I've seen so many different animals, but it turns out they were just, well, termite mounds. But it has been very, very exciting this afternoon on Bushwalk, and I hope that you've enjoyed it, from the praying mantis to the attack of the ticks, of course, Karula and foot, and then ending it off with that lovely Nyala bull, who was, well, very, very excited to see another bull there. Hopefully they don't battle it out too much. But from all of us here on Bushwalk, we'll see you again on the Sunrise Safari. And, well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the drive with Jamie and Brent. Let's go back across to Jamie.
Back over to the beautiful Xongile as Tayla strolls back towards the safety of camp. And of course, this is just where leopards are truly coming into their own at this time of day. We're talking about jaguars and their size difference. And jaguars, of course, are the third largest big cat after lions and tigers, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a significant size difference. I also just wanted to touch upon the fact that they're very, very similar. Obviously, they've got the spotted coats, so that goes without saying. They occupy quite similar niches in the way that they hunt, the way that evolution has designed them as ambush predators, built for moving through dense vegetation, creeping around, and so on. And they stretch all the way up to southern United States, if I'm not mistaken. I heard stories of jaguars being seen there recently. You'd find they're equally adaptable, the same way leopards are. Leopards in India are equally adaptable. Leopards in India are leopards. They are true leopards, not jaguars. Leopards in India also wander through cities all the time, cities and towns. Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently we went a bit jagged and interrupted. I'm just saying that leopards in India are also as adaptable as our leopards here in Africa in their ability to utilize cities, to learn to live in cities, and so on. There's our little back foot. Her feet are as big as Karula's. Welcome to Albert in New York on our Sunset Safari. Thank you for sending through your question, Albert. Albert, it is common for leopards to put their kills in a tree if they are in an area with lions and hyena. I have worked on reserves without lions and with only brown hyena before, and in those areas generally the leopards actually don't hoist their kills because they don't need to. There's not as many scavengers. But in this sort of area, they've sort of come upon that strategy in order to keep their kills safe from scavengers. Lions are just as good at scavenging as spotted hyena. So yes, absolutely. They will often hoist their kills here. It also depends on the size of the kill and the size of the leopard. So not every kill can be hoisted. Karula's pretty strong. Oh, sorry, Xongi. Let me try and move that out of your face slightly. A leopard like Karula, I've seen her hoist an adult impala into a tree. She hadn't even taken the stomach contents out, which astounded me at the time. I think she must have done it in a rush. But she can't always do it, especially with adult male impala. And they have to eat a little bit first before they can. Whereas a leopard like Anderson could probably hoist... Well, he's got a reputation for hoisting small giraffe. But he could actually we've seen him hoist over his body weight. It's boring. She did look quite bored there. Where's your brother? Go find your brother. He'll keep you entertained. He will. I'm sure he's here somewhere. Tony, you say that you hear jaguar's size depends on their territory, and is it something similar with leopards? Yes, in a way it is. Let me try and phrase this properly. It's not quite as simple a connection as that, but essentially the best prime territorial areas for leopards are going to be the ones that are the most, where there is the most competition. So therefore the leopards that hold territories in those areas tend to be the ones that are quite large. And of course you'll find that especially the way in which females disperse, they stay quite close to their mother's territories. You'll find that over time that genetic size difference will actually sort of become quite typical of that area, whereas in other areas that are less sought after, like less sought after real estate in a way, that aren't as prime as other territorial areas, there's not as much competition, and therefore the leopards tend to be slightly smaller because they don't need to be as strong in order to compete for those areas. Does that make sense? The other thing that happens is in prime territorial regions, the territories are smaller because there's more competition and there's also more resources. So a leopard's territory doesn't need to be as large. It's one of the reasons why Karula actually, I believe, at one point she held the record for one of the largest female leopard territories in the Sabi Sand. When she was in her prime, not that she's out of her prime, but when she was really at sort of the height of her territorial dominance, she had a territory that was absolutely massive. So there is a connection between territories and physical size, but it's a bit more complex than you might otherwise expect. And hello to Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, you put that song in my head now, thank you. Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, you want to know if snow leopards are smaller than jaguars? Yes, they are. They've got so much fluff though on them. I think they must look a great deal smaller if they didn't have all of that fur. So if I'm not mistaken, hello gorgeous, what have you seen? Hold on, sorry, hold off on the snow leopard's question for a second. I'd love to see a snow leopard. Dream of seeing a snow leopard. I actually would say that a snow leopard is probably on average slightly smaller than our leopards. I think they're quite a lot smaller than we think they are. I think I read somewhere that the small females can actually be under 30 kilograms, which would be a very small leopard here. That actually would be abnormal. I just want to see what she was looking at, so I'm just going to take my spotlight off her for a second. Mosquito! Dave, the mosquitoes are coming. I can hear them whining in my ear.
Oh no.
Oh no. I'm going to check and see what she's seen. I wouldn't be surprised if a hyena came wandering through either. I'm happy with her being here with a spotlight on her because she's up a tree. Nope. I see nothing, Xongile. What are you looking at? Did you hear something? Could be those buffalo, actually. Now we're heading in this direction. You can see the slight change in her body language. There is a pearl-spotted owlet calling. Can you hear it, Dave? Slightly. Aww. Pearl-spotted owlets stop calling again. Well, hopefully they come a bit closer because they live in this area. There's a pair of them that live in these marula trees. Hopefully they'll come close and you can hear that whistling call of them. Brent, sorry. I haven't heard much in the way of updates this afternoon. Just Karula Junction, Wahlberg's Twin Dams, and Miskaya active, and then obviously Xongile on quarantine. Okay, copy. Hopefully for tomorrow. Sorry, Brent was desperately asking for updates and nobody was answering him, and I was ignoring him because I thought somebody else would answer him, but then it just resulted in him being flat out ignored. I think all of the other vehicles are having their coffee break at this time of day. I was just asking for updates from the other guides. And speaking of Brent, he's made his way all the way back onto Djuma. Let's go. I know what his plans are. Let's go and see if he'll share them with you.
Hi, I've got some good news, some better news. And the good news is I'm going to see if I can find Karula before the end of the safari. Better news is it sounds like the Nkumas are going to be up and mobile back towards Djuma. I'm just a bit far to get there at the moment. So there, I've just come in off the southern boundary, at the southeastern boundary, and they are right on the western boundary. So hopefully we'll have some luck with them on the morrow. Hi, Tasman. Tasman would like to know who won the February Bird Challenge. Tasman, I'm not sure the exact figures, but I'm pretty sure I won by a long way. Poor Tristan. He's got March to try and catch up. Well, thank you, Nev. Nev, got the exact figures. The figures are in. Should we phone Tristan? No, I'm joking. Tristan 35, Brent 64. Now, it is a short month, but I think I will try in 2 weeks in March. What do you think about, Brian? I think this is a good challenge. We've got 2 weeks to get our bees. We've done 40, what was it? 46 in a day before. So I think we can get to 100 species in 2 weeks. So I think that's the March challenge. And I say 2 weeks because, of course, I shall be going on leave in 2 weeks' time. Or 12 days to be exact. 13 days. So even more pressure. I think it's doable. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's doable.
I think let's see if we can find the Queen. Let's go back to Jamie and Xongile.
What a perfect plan we have struck up between the two of us. Brent in the search for Mum, and us with this extraordinary view. Isn't that beautiful, Dave? Let's just sit for a moment and listen to the sounds of the bush. Gorgeous. Thicknees, woodland kingfishers, cicadas, crickets, francolins doing their last good night, and a really beautiful moon, like the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, just with its head tilted. And of course, at night, the gentle buzz of an insect attracted to my spotlight. You can just hear it buzzing around somewhere here. Actually, you want to know how great a leopard's hearing is? It's very good. It is far more sensitive than ours, and they've got this amazing ability. By the way, Xongile has just got up now. They've got this amazing ability to listen while they sleep. So their brain is still subconsciously processing that information and the input coming from their ears. They've got ears, I'm not sure exactly how much more sensitive than human beings, but a great deal more sensitive. The hearing is one of their most important senses when they are trying to creep up on something in dense vegetation where they can't really rely upon their sight. Their sight's actually quite good as well. Obviously, it's not quite the equivalent of a human being's, but it picks up on movement very, very well. The way that Xongile spotted those Nyala at the same time I did. Love that little tail. She's sitting up, looking around, I think secretly hoping Hosana's going to come and keep her entertained. The other night when we were at Treehouse Dam, it was so sweet. She went off calling, and I think she was actually calling to Hosana. I take back what I said there. I think that she was calling to her sibling. And she was sort of, ow, 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 calling to him. And he didn't respond because there was a hyena that she didn't know about. So he stayed hidden. And he then popped out right at the end of our sunset safari for the last few minutes. And we sat there a little bit longer. And then he started calling for her. Oh, oh, oh. His voice was so much deeper than hers. It was an interesting difference between the two of them. That doesn't look comfortable at all. But then often leopards do that. Look at this little head poking out. Mischief, what you looking at? Should I have a look as well? What are you seeing? Look at the shadow, that's really stunning. Just that one stick, Dave.
It's always that one
It's
stick.
always that one stick. Imagine how stunning that would be without. It's still stunning, but just that one silly stick. You've got the shadow and everything. It's perfect. Interesting question from Pat, talking about the females, the way in which female leopards disperse away from their mum and essentially stay right next door to her, taking a section of her territory. Pat, no. Once the territorial boundaries are established and the female cub is sexually mature and breeding, then her mother will not be permitted to hunt in that territory if that female finds her. So territorial boundaries are fluid, and sometimes Shadow goes on a little bit into Karula's territory, and sometimes Karula goes a little bit into Shadow's territory. And provided they're not found, it's not too much of a bother. But when Karula and Shadow do encounter each other, it is not a friendly family reunion. They do what instinct tells them to do, which is growl and salivate and posture at each other until they go their separate ways. And if Shadow... We don't know for certain, but I suspect now, if Shadow were to find Karula in the middle of her territory, now that she's got these two small cubs, even though Karula is probably not a threat to the small cubs, I think Shadow would be extra specially defensive. I'm just going to reposition slightly, since we can't see her head. We can't see her head this way either, can we, Dave? Nope. The other way it is. Actually gives me a nice opportunity to just check behind me as well. Make sure Hassan is not pulling his usual sneaky maneuver. There you go. Just brush against the side of her with the spotlight. Gorgeous. Or else they snuggle down into dense vegetation if it's a solitary antelope and hide away, and they are far more jumpy. During full moon, the opposite kind of happens, and hunting becomes much less successful for the big cats because there's more ambient light, so it's easier to spot them. And sometimes you get wild dogs hunting a little bit into full moon nights, and cheetah as well, moving about on full moon nights, just because you can see. And having been out here where there's no other light sources than just the moon during a full moon night, you can see really clearly. You get proper moon shadows and everything. So it changes the behavior slightly, and invariably you get the of one very confused Cape turtle dove. I'm not sure I heard this correctly, but I think you're going over to Brent to see a sleeping butterfly. Sounds like the name of a ballet.
We've got an African or choose to call it. Often, when one is searching for chameleons, one spots this butterfly, and similar sort of coloration to a chameleon when you first spot them. That's a bit of a bedraggled looking one. Shame. Well, we're going to leave the butterfly to snooze. See if we can find a chameleon. Where do you think's a good spot, Brian? Road?
And right-hand side of the road.
So not on the road, but on the left and the right. Oh, there's a bronze-winged corsair. Another lovely bird, of course. Very common this year with the rain. Now, of course, we saw corncrake today, and Phil's wondering why is it so rare. It's rare to come this far south, and the other problem is it's vulnerable because of habitat destruction in its breeding area. So in Europe, Russia and China, the marshes and grasslands that they breed in are under threat, so they are becoming more and more rare. Is that a leaf? Yes, a leaf. So that's the reason that the corncrake's so rare. Now, I've seen them. They're never common. Put it that way. Nowhere are they common. Oh, another bird. Oh, it's killing something. It's got something big as well. It is not a water thickney. What has he got? He's got a scorpion. He's got a burrowing scorpion. It looks like a shiny burrowing scorpion. Well done, Thicknee. Well done. That's a big meal for you. That was a very impressive catch for that Thicknee. A shiny burrowing scorpion, or Glabrons epistothelmus, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. Epistothelmus glabrons. I got it the wrong way around, I think. Yeah, there we go. So the shiny burrowing scorpion being murdered by a Thicknee. And it is a water Thicknee, even though we're a little bit far away from the drainage line. Of course, we do get spotted Thicknees, less common though. Making sure it's not going to sting while it goes down the gullet. That was very unlucky for you, Scorpion. Getting quite chuffed with itself, making sure there's no movement. Oh, I see that swallow. That's a big meal for that bird. They're making triple sure that it's dead. Now, of course, certain scorpion species can play dead. However, I think this poor chap is really dead. Oh, look at that. Come on, you've got 40 seconds to swallow your meal. And we come to the end of an excellent excellent sunset safari. Leopards on foot with Tayla, Xongile with Jamie, a Thicknee munching on a scorpion's got 20 seconds to swallow it. We're going to say goodbye very quickly from the killer bees and, of course, the corncrake. Corncrake. Let's have a look. 10-9, eat it.